All right, well, you know, speaking of 2000s, in just a few days, it's going to be 2005. That's right. And even though I'm excited about the new year, I think we should take a second, look back at some of the big news stories that happened in 2004. All the cool news stories that happened with our very own late-night year in review.
The year kicked off with a Super Bowl halftime performance by Janet Jackson that featured a partially exposed right breast.
Are you surprised by Janet's stunt?
Not really, Conan. Janet's always been the weirdo in the family.
What?
She's 3 llamas short of a full living room, if you know what I mean. Her backyard's missing a few roller coasters, if you catch my drift.
Yeah, I get it, Michael. Fine.
In February, President Bush proposed a constitutional amendment prohibiting gay marriage.
Conan, same-sex marriage is banned in the Bible, I'll have you know.
It is? I didn't know that.
Sure, it says right there on page 12. It's in there. It says, and man shall not layeth with a maneth named Kenneth.
California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger suggested another amendment allowing foreigners to become president.
You said earlier this week that foreigners should be allowed to run for president of the United States. That's what you said.
Yeah, absolutely. Foreigners should be allowed to run American-born presidents. They've botched the job for over 200 years.
Okay, now wait. That's ridiculous. There have been some great American-born presidents. Abraham Lincoln, great president.
Lincoln was human garbage. He was garbage. It took that loser 5 years to win the Civil War. I could have won it in 2 days with an army of battle-hardened cyborgs from the future.
All right.
In March, Martha Stewart was found guilty on 4 counts of conspiracy and obstruction.
Welcome, Martha.
Hello, Conan.
Yes. Now, Martha, I just can't imagine you living in a simple concrete prison cell.
Oh, I'll make it my own, Conan. I plan to add a personal touch with some fig-scented candles, a hand-picked chenille afghan, and some embroidered gingham throw pillows.
Yeah, but none of that stuff is allowed in prison.
That's why I'll be smuggling it all in my rectum.
Near the end of summer, Dan Rather apologized for a CBS News report based on phony documents and uncorroborated facts.
This just in to CBS News. The Earth has hurtled into the sun. All life as we know it has ended. Your body, Conan, and the bodies of all Earthlings were incinerated at 4:22 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. You heard it here first from me, the late Dan Rather.
Georgia Senator and Democrat Zell Miller electrified the Republican National Convention. Later, the Southern firebrand made even more headlines when he challenged a cable news pundit to a duel.
At dawn tomorrow, I shall skew your spleen with my Confederate saber.
I'm sorry, I am not having a sword fight with you.
Well, then I will bash your head in with a trash can lid.
No, sir, I'm sorry, but none of this is gonna happen.
Then you leave me no choice but to fight you baboon style. Meet me in the jungle canopy, where we will each present our red and swollen posteriors. Whose ever backside is most inflamed will get to plant his dominant seed in the fertile simian wound of the female baboon.
In late October, Massachusetts native and Democratic candidate for president John Kerry got a boost when his Boston Red Sox advanced to the World Series.
I didn't know that you were such a big baseball fan.
Oh, of course, Conan. Of course, I most certainly am. Of all the American working man's aimless and banal pursuits, this game, this grand game of stick and ball and toss and touch is my favorite. There's nothing quite as satisfying as watching the uniformed humans running around the home basings and sliding into the dugout to score another Grand Slam breakfast. Cheney's daughter is a lesbian.
In November, Donald Trump's casinos filed for bankruptcy.
Thousands of your workers are going to be unemployed, Mr. Trump.
Conan, they're not just going to be unemployed, they're going to be Trump unemployed. The most luxurious, classy, Trump-tastical unemployment a person can legally have.
Okay, I gotta say, sir,
This unemployment is huge.
Sir, I think you're living in a fantasy world.
Not just any fantasy world, a Trump fantasy world.
Yeah.
Also in November, President Bush won his second term in the White House.
I worked real hard on a concession speech, and now I won't get to read it. You folks want to hear it?
Well, sure, I want to hear it.
I feeling they would.
Interesting, historically valid. Let's listen,
I
yeah.
had a feeling they
Here we
would.
go, yeah.
Here goes. Ladies and gentlemen, you have voted unwisely. And I have no choice but to impose martial law. Surrender voluntarily and no force will be necessary.
All right, now, sir, I'm glad we didn't have to hear that. Now, sir.
It's a good speech.
Yeah, it's nice.
Maybe some other time.
Yeah, some other time, yeah.
The election was also a victory for Arnold Schwarzenegger, whose referendum on stem cell research passed in California.
This is my initiative. Now I can take all the stem cells to my underground lab and create an army of clones.
Clones?
Yeah. And then I'll crossbreed the clones with alien cyborgs to build an unstoppable cyber clone voting bloc for me. And then the cyber clone voters will say, Arnold, you must be the next president after Bush.
No, wait a minute. Arnold, you can't be president. You weren't born in America.
The cyber clones don't care about that. They only care about strong leadership and fiscal responsibility.
For God's sake. Arnold, it's in the Constitution.
Cyber clones eat constitutions. And once they fill up their cyber bellies with nutrient-rich constitutions, they will then lift me on their shoulders and carry me into the White House, where I sit down on my desk and pull the cigar out of my mouth and turn to the camera and say, it's clonely at the top.
And that's the year in review.
What a year it was. And what a year coming up, folks. We'll take a break and we'll come back. Clyde Peeling's here with his